If you're a fan of all the guitar players that use the infamous but classic Klon Centaur overdrive pedal, and you really want to recreate their sounds, but you simply don't have $5 kicking around to buy a real Klon Centaur, which, let's face it, most of us don't, there is now a really viable option. So over the years there's been plenty of great Klon clones which have gotten close to the original circuit. But in this video we're going to be checking out a brand new one from the guys at Wampler, which gets even closer to that classic sound. This is the brand new Germanium Tumnus. So the original Klon Centaur pedal, which now sells for astronomical numbers online, is a pedal that was designed by Bill Finnegan in the early 90s. Now originally, they weren't actually that expensive to buy. They were around about the $200 to $250 mark, which pretty much puts it in the price range of most of the great pedals on the market today. That's a number that most of us will pay for a good overdrive pedal. So over the years, they've been used by guitar players like John Mayer, Joe Perry and Brad Whitford from Aerosmith, Jeff Beck, and tons more. Now, obviously, they don't make the original ones anymore. Bill Finnegan still does the occasional run on eBay of original style ones, but the original run from the early 90s up to the early 2000s is long gone. And now, obviously, the price that they resell for reflects that. What Wampler have done is they've actually managed to get their hands on a batch of the original germanium diodes that made the original clones so special. Bill Finnegan ran out of those diodes, which is a big part of the reason that production stopped, but Brian Wampler has managed to get his hands on a very, very limited number of them. That's what we've got in this pedal. Those very specific germanium diodes were so key to the original sound of the Klon that Bill Finnegan actually said they're basically unobtainium now. So what we have here is a Klon style pedal with some of those original diodes in. So in this video we're going to check this thing out and see how close this gets to that classic Klon sound. Before we do that, I want to let you guys know this is a sponsored video, so the guys at Wampler are paying me for this video, and they've also given me this pedal as well in return for the video. But as always, all the thoughts and opinions you're going to hear in the video are my own. Alright, so the Tumnus is Wampler's take on the Klon. Now, the Tumnus has been on the market for a few years. There's the original Tumnus, which is this size. There's a deluxe Tumnus with a 3-band EQ, and there's also a variation on the Tumnus circuit inside the Wampler gearbox, which is Andy Wood's signature overdrive pedal as well. What I have here is the brand new Germanium Tumnus. Now the big difference between this and the original Tumnus is that this is actually using those original germanium diodes, the ones that Bill Finnegan said were UNOBTAINIUM. So this, in theory, should be pretty damn close to an original Klon. Now, because these diodes are incredibly hard to find, Brian Wampler actually only has a limited supply of the diodes, therefore meaning there's only a limited number of these pedals. So once these are gone, they're gone. These are going to retail at around about $180, so you can kind of expect them to be, you know, sub $200 in most retailers. In the UK, that'll probably be closer to maybe like 150 to 160 pounds. So it's going to be a great value for money pedal. But yeah, like I said, they're going to be limited. So once these are gone, they're gone. And as far as I'm aware, Brian ain't going to be making any more of these. So with this being a Klon style circuit, it has the expected control layout. We've got just 3 controls. We've got the gain control. This handles obviously the amount of gain that we're feeding into the circuit. It's quite a low gain pedal, so even in full like that, we're not getting crushing levels of gain here. It's just a nice pushed overdrive. We have a treble control. What this does is this controls the treble frequencies of the signal. So if you want it a little brighter, you can turn that up. And if you want to muffle the top end a little bit, you turn that down. And we have a level control, which is quite a wide-ranging level control. I found that in my setup, unity gain is around about here. So obviously we can really push that if we want some extra headroom from the pedal. And it's got an on and off switch. Side-mounted jacks with a top-mounted power supply, which runs off a 9-volt DC. And obviously, as you can see, it's a small form Wampler pedal, so it's pretty easy to fit on most pedal boards and pretty easy to drop, as I almost did there on the camera. The good thing is, it's a Wampler pedal, so if I did drop it, it would probably do more damage to my desk than it would to the pedal, because these things are pretty robust. They're pretty much road ready out the box. This has a color that they refer to as alien silver, and it's got these really cool metallic red anodized control knobs. It's very striking. I really like the way this looks, but again, it's quite simplistic. They haven't over-cluttered the design here. I think the silver and red is a really nice color palette for this pedal. So that really is all there is to say on this spec-wise, because it's quite a simple pedal. So let's just plug this thing in now and hear some sounds. All right, so gear-wise, I'm starting off with my 1983 Tokai Strat. This has a set of 63 spec Strat pickups from a company called Righteous Sound Pickups, because this guitar is based on a 63, so I wanted the pickups to be super authentic. This is an old guitar, and other than the pickups, I've not changed any of the other electronics. So if you hear any crackling in the video when I'm turning things, that's why. This is plugged into the Blackstar Studio 10 6L6, which is running completely clean, and that's running via the 2 Notes Torpedo Captor X. So here is how the guitar sounds completely clean. So I've got the Tumnus currently set with the volume at sort of 10 o'clock, because that is a slight lift above unity gain on my setup, so you will hear a slight volume lift there. And I'm going to start with the gain and treble just straight up the middle at midnight, and it sounds like this. Now, with everything at midnight, obviously you can hear that is not a ton of gain. It's kind of like a pushed sound. Off my clean tone, it just brings in the slightest bit of drive at the top end, but that's not a super high gain sound. It works great with single coil pickups though, because it's very dynamic. Can really get a lot of nuance out of the guitar, which I really love about this circuit. So I'm just going to play a little bit now with the single coils, and I'm just going to move the gain and treble control and see where it takes me. So, I mean, honestly, that is really hard to fault for me from a tonal standpoint, because I think a Klon with a Strat style guitar is literally the perfect combination. Even with the gain up full and the neck pickup, it doesn't get too muddy. If anything, the treble control has way more treble than you actually need for single coils, because, I mean, if I'm to set that up full and play on the bridge pickup, it's going to be very spiky. Even on the neck pickup, that's incredibly sharp. But it still sounds pretty good. It's still got that Klon DNA in there. Now, where I think it really comes alive is when you've got the gain cranked, but you've got the treble kind of like on halfway, because it's dark enough that it doesn't make the bridge single coil sound too top-endy. It adds enough kind of grit to that. But on the neck pickup, it's kind of percussive feeling and really kind of immediate. It's a really fast reacting pedal. It doesn't feel like there's any kind of sag to it like we sometimes get with an overdrive. And it works really well in those in-between positions, so obviously for the Mayer fans out there. Alright, so I've switched over now to my Shergold Guitars Provocateur Classic. I'm going to reset the pedal back to midnight on those controls. This has a Seymour Duncan Pearly Gates in the bridge, which is the Billy Gibbons kind of 59 Les Paul pickup from Seymour Duncan, and a Seymour Duncan SP90 in the neck, I think it's called. It's a great sounding P90. So here's how this sounds with some Humbucker and P90 tones. Now the first thing you notice is it's already got a little bit more gain with the humbucker because the humbucker's hitting the tumnus that little bit harder. So there you go, there is the Wampler Germanium Tumnus. That is a pedal that really covers a lot of bases, I think. Like I said, it's not a super high gain pedal. It's a Klon circuit, so obviously don't expect this to give you crushing gain tones. But you heard there, with humbuckers on full gain, it can still pack quite a punch if you're playing rock or classic rock. It can also do those more subtle bluesy tones as well. So if you're, kind of on the side more of guys like John Mayer, it's got you covered in that respect. I have played an original Tumnus, but I haven't spent a great deal of time with one. But I've played an original one on maybe 2 or 3 occasions for a couple of minutes at a time. And I definitely, I mean, I'm talking from memory here, but this definitely feels a little bit smoother in the top end and a little chewier than the original one. The original one is a little bit more direct and sharp sounding. Now, obviously, with this being a germanium one, it's got more of that slightly saggy vintage vibe about it anyway, and I absolutely love it. I mean, I'm probably going to go out on a limb here and say that is probably the best Klon clone I've played to date. Now, obviously, I haven't played every Klon clone out there. There's probably some out there that I haven't played. Well, there's definitely some out there that I haven't played. But what I have played and what I own, that exceeds them all, I think. I have been someone who's always had a Klon variety on my pedal board for the last probably 7 or 8 years. And yeah, I think I found a new favourite. I love this thing. What do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments your thoughts on the Germanium Tumnus. Like I said, if you're a fan of Klons and you don't have $5 burning a hole in your pocket to buy a real one, you can get one of these. But like I said earlier, do act fast, because once these hit the shops and they sell out, that's it. Brian will not be making any more. But let me know what you guys think about this thing down below in the comments. While you're down there doing that, don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you so much for watching as always.